Hello and welcome back. In this video, I want to discuss the file browser. This is another one of the built-in tools that ImageLine has included in FL Studio that will make your life much easier. To put it simply, the file browser is just a window that you can use for quick drag and drop access to files and projects as well as presets. It's fairly simple to use but very effective at allowing instant access to some of your most used files. You can access the browser by either selecting its button from the shortcut toolbar or by pressing F8. You can also access it from the View menu item in the File toolbar. The browser will appear as a pull-out window from the left-hand side of the screen. It contains some default folders as well as any folders you added to the list of folders to scan in the Settings and Options menu. To access an item, simply left-click on it. If it contains any data or subfolders, they will display below in a cascading tree-style display. If there is nothing inside the item, nothing will display and the hint bar will say directory is empty. The way the browser makes life easier is that it works using drag and drop. So if I have a preset that I want to use, I could just left-click and drag the file to the appropriate channel. Or, for instance, I could add samples from the browser just by left-clicking and dragging. You can choose to replace what's already in an existing channel by dragging something into it, or you can choose to insert a sample or whatever as a new channel by dragging it to an unused open area of the channel window. Besides the dragging and dropping, we also have a preset preview function. The way this works is, let's say you have a TS404 inserted. You can open the TS404 presets and left-click the top entry. To go ahead and insert it for the first time, you can right-click and select Send to Selected Channel. Right-clicking also gives us the option to open in a new channel. Anyway, this will send the preset to whatever the currently selected channel is, which in our case is the TS404. Now, you can press F5 and F6 to go backward and forward in the list, respectively. This is great if you have something playing and you would like to try a different sound from the preset menu without having to drag and drop each time. Now, to quickly run down the list of default folders, we have an automation folder, which can be used to store automation scores that you may have saved through the event editing window. The Channel Presets item contains presets for many VST instruments, as well as some pre-made automation clips for gating and shapes for volume. The Current Project folder automatically stores anything going on in the current project and is a good place to look in complicated projects if things start getting lost. You can left-click on an item to have FL Studio focus on it. The Data folder contains any downloaded FPC, SynthMaker, and DirectWave content you have downloaded. The Humanizing presets are presets you can use to give a more human feel to note patterns. The only catch is that you have to use them with the step sequencer. If you try to drag and drop in the piano roll, or once in piano roll mode, no effect will take place. The Miscellaneous folder contains content used by the demo projects that come with the program. The Force Feedback folder will contain any force feedback files you've created. The Fruity Vibrator uses force feedback files to deliver MIDI data. It's beyond the scope of this tutorial to go into detail, but you can find information easily on the internet about this subject. We also have a Mixer Presets folder, which contains some standard and special effect mixer presets. The Packs folder contains a ton of samples and loops that FL Studio comes with. The plugin database contains the folders and subfolders for adding a plugin to the database as discussed earlier. This information is the same that's contained in the plugin picker, which again can be accessed by pressing Ctrl and F8. The Plugin Presets folder contains more presets for some of the plugins or tools that FL Studio comes with. These are essentially the presets that you would see by right-clicking the preset selector in the top right-hand corner of a plugin interface window. The Project Bones folder is a place that you could save different Project Bones files, which we discussed in the File menu tutorial. The Projects folder contains all of your projects that you've saved as long as you've been saving them to the default Projects folder. Below this is a Recorded folder, which contains all of your recorded or disk recorded files if you've been saving them to the default location. We talked about disk recording in the Mixer tutorial. The rendered folder would contain any rendered tracks if you've been saving them again in the default location. Below this, you see that I have a samples folder because I added this folder location when setting up the program. I would encourage you to make your own folder called samples or loops or whatever is going to contain the audio that you use often and add it to the browser listing for quick access. The scores folder contains scores you can drag to the piano roll. We also have a sliced beats and sound fonts folder which would contain the appropriate content if you put it in there. The speech folder contains many pre-made speech files for the Fruity speech generator. These are fun to play with, or you could make your own with the plugin itself. Finally, we have a user folder which could contain anything that you put in it. Now, the browser can also be detached and moved to another side of the screen by left-clicking the top area and dragging. To reattach, simply drag the browser to the far left and it will automatically reattach. We also have different options for snapshots. A snapshot simply keeps a virtual image of what the browser looks like right at that moment. To get a snapshot, just have the browser open to where you want it and then select a different snapshot. When you go back to the snapshot you were on with the folder open, the browser will remain unchanged. This comes in handy if you have a few views that you usually work with instead of going through the different folders and subfolders each time. The auto setting will automatically open the corresponding folder for whatever you have selected in the program. If you have a plugin open, the presets for that plugin will open. If you have the mixer focused, the mixer presets will open, and so on. You can also rename the snapshot slots by right-clicking on the snapshot name and number and entering a new name. Again, you could have one snapshot for your samples folder, one for your user presets, etc. Finally, the frozen option will protect the currently selected slot from change. The Reread Structure button will rescan all folders for any new content that you may have added. If you've added samples or rendered files and you don't see them, try hitting the Reread Structure button and then searching again. Speaking of searching, the browser includes a search function as well. To access it, we can either right-click a folder and select Smart Find in this folder, or we can use the browser menu in the top left-hand corner and select either Find or Smart Find. The Find function will look for the exact words you enter. The Smart Find function allows you to use the asterisk as a wildcard, as well as lets you include the word project to search the project folder, which is not searched by default, and also allows you to search by file extension. Once the search results are back, you can use F2 and F3 to search backward and forward respectively through the results, or again use the browser menu. Now, taking a look at the menu, again we see the F5 and F6 options for sending the previous or next preset to the selected channel, as well as size options, the ability to see or hide the folder icons, as well as show only one folder content, which allows only one folder to be open at a time. We also have options to show file extensions and unknown file types, as well as the option to sort the browser with different criteria. Finally, we can collapse the entire structure or reread it. The Configure Extra Folders option will open your folder settings, which we discussed earlier, for easy adding of new folders. And finally, we have another way to switch between snapshots. You'll notice that you can also switch between snapshots using the number keys if the browser is focused. All in all, the browser is a fantastic tool and helps to increase your speed and ease of use when working within FL Studio. Remember to keep track of where you are putting your content and always add any new folders to the folder list so that they will show up and are able to be used within the browser. You can save anything anywhere just like normal Windows operation, but I would recommend keeping things separate. If you start saving automation presets in a samples folder and start saving samples in an automation folder, pretty soon you might end up lost and then you'll be using the search function. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.